But welcome everybody. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe button.
I remember in middle school when you felt self-conscious if you were the last one to go through puberty. That really went topsy-turvy, didn't it?
Sometimes the house it's too much explaining yourself and it's too apologetic.
Be sure to hit the notifications bell.
I actually do believe Israel won't just bomb countless civilians.
Be sure to tweet this out. Be sure to put this up on your Facebook.
You have to be kind to people. Be kind to the guys in this mess in the first place.
Put this up on your Reddit.
Chile is a country.
Be sure to cut and paste, a link to this to go into your favorite Facebook chat group.
It's good to see so many normal people in here.
Now, spanking isn't just my deep, dark personal secret. It's America's deep, dark secret.
I've never seen it explained so simply anywhere.
Put this on WhatsApp. Put this on Telegram. Put this on your favorite messenger app.
Hello and welcome to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. I'm your host, an Untitled Anarchist Seagull called Elise. And yes, my microphone is on. Those who were there for the language stream this afternoon, that was not the case, and I had to redo the entire introduction. Thankfully, Hogsnout noticed this and told me, so I only had 3 minutes of more or less dead air rather than a half hour as it has occasionally been. So, the Encampments is out, and I wanted to share with you the link. I watched a little bit of it the other night, and you can watch it in full. This link that I'm going to give you on the Jadalia channel looks quite good. I don't know if you heard that the Gaza humanitarian aid vessel that was sailing around Malta, apparently about 2 nautical miles outside of Malta, got bombed by most likely an Israeli drone. I haven't heard it being identified, but who else is it going to be? Either it's Israeli or it is on behalf of them. And apparently their SOS call was only answered by someone from Cyprus, despite the fact that that is miles away from Malta. So, yeah, I mean, they had this idea that if they kept it a little bit more quiet, they might be able to, they might be able to sort of slip under the radar a bit and avoid some of the difficulties docking that previous Gaza Freedom Flotillas had. But it does not seem to have worked out completely that way. Apparently everybody's okay, but the ship is no more. But yeah, that it's worth noting, if you look on the map, Malta is way on the other end of the Mediterranean from Palestine. So they went way out of their area and only just 2 miles outside of Maltese territorial waters, it looks like, to carry out this attack, which is pretty significant escalation. We haven't seen anything quite like that before. I mean, even in 2009, 2010, those attacks did not actually sink the fucking ship. But anyway, so that's the kind of week that it's been. Now, Hasan and Ethan Klein have decided to have a little bit of a debate. I thought we might look at that. I mean, we've seen what how horrible Ethan Klein is when the only people he is interacting with are his wife and his employees. So let's see.
All right, folks, that's enough of the dog chat. It's time. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hasan Piker.
Hello, Hasan Piker.
What's going on?
Well, I'm doing a debate. So let's start. I mean, so you did this content cup.
Wait a second. Did he just turn off the green screen, or did he just completely change?
Right, and I mean, did that go how you expected? It didn't seem to hit very hard.
Before we get started,
It didn't seem to hit very hard, did it? Oh wow. That he's starting with like an attempt at trash talk. Hello, Riveroon. How you doing?
hey, can I lay some like ground rules so we can have like a productive conversation?
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So, I wanted to come on to make this.
Okay. I have to say, in this outfit that Ethan is rocking, between that and the salt and pepper hair and the beard, he actually kind of looks like Yahya Sinwar, which is a bit weird.
Too specific as possible, but yes, you have grievances with me, and of course,
Okay.
I think they're valid to address.
Okay,
Of course,
good.
we'll talk about that.
See, I wouldn't go that far. Like, he thinks that, but okay, let's see where he's going with that.
Hopefully, I'll be able to address some counterpoints as well, if you will allow
Sure.
me in that
Of
process.
course.
Oh,
Abs-
I've never seen Hasan do a debate.
Absolutely.
Before we,
Like, I don't really watch Hasan. I've watched more Hasan, let me put it this way, since this Ethan Klein shit started to happen, than I had in, like, the entire, like, years previously. I was aware of him, but I never really paid a whole lot of attention. Does he have the tendency to try to put people way more at ease than they ought to be in these sorts of things, or is this a bit he's doing, or is this...
before we get started on anything, I would like to potentially talk about definitions, so we can have like an established definition.
Okay, interesting. I have a feeling it is going to fall apart immediately here.
On a lot of
Let's see, what's Hasan's chat saying? Fuck you, Ethan, you dork. Ethan pre-aneurysm. Smugness at all-time high here. Yeah, that's about right.
things that we're going to be talking about.
And yeah,
Is that okay with you?
and they're remarking on how Ethan's audio is way louder too.
I mean, it depends how many definitions you got. What do you want to define? I don't want to get bogged down in this, so
I'm
let's
also
just...
experiencing audio issues on my end, so hold on one
Sure.
second.
Go ahead. No worries. No worries.
Okay. All right, so you're fine with that?
I mean, up to a point, yeah.
What? I mean,
I don't want to get bogged down in a conversation.
Gotcha.
Go ahead, start. No, I know you're not. I just want to get going.
So, first and foremost, I think...
This is, I should note, a 4-hour video, so we're not going to get through it. I'm probably going to skip around a bit. I have a feeling, though, that things are probably not going to...
Define what Zionism is, and what you mean by Zionism, and what I mean by Zionism, so you can understand where I'm coming from.
I got it's so... This is not... See, this is... Zionism actually does have a very specific definition. Like, you can define it based on the ideology on its own terms. And I feel like even saying, well, let's agree on how to define it. Zionists love to do this thing where they'll pretend it means like, oh, it just means Jewish self-determination, which of course it doesn't. Because self-determination would include, for example, the right to determine yourself that you actually are at home in the country you're from and are not going to go and colonize Palestine. I mean, Zionism rejects Jewish self-determination, but they love to say that, you know, when they're dealing with people who haven't read it. And a lot of your low information Zionists, probably that's all they've ever fucking heard. But if you actually look at the ideology, it starts out from the idea that Jews are foreigners in the countries we're from. And that is the source of a lot of problems in those countries. It blames us for them. It says that anti-Semitism happens because we're in places we don't belong. It says, and that's why we need to redeem ourselves by going to Palestine and colonizing national soil. Like, I mean, but of course, I mean, if Ethan has read even half of the fucking Zionist thought that I have, I would be absolutely shocked. And I haven't read a whole lot. I've read enough to confirm just how shit it is.
The belief that Jews should have their own homeland in the historic, Palestine area.
Like, I mean, and already, see, this is already anti-Semitic, I should note, because it's, like, just denying that we have homelands. We have homelands. We've spent more time in all the other places that there are Jews than we ever spent in Palestine. We've developed apart for way longer than we ever spent together. Like, I mean, even if you accept, which you really can't because conversion's a thing and there are all sorts of other things going on, that everybody, that you could trace us all eventually back to Palestine if you go back, a couple of hundred generations or whatever. It's probably not 100 generations, but I didn't actually do the math. It's a lot of generations anyway, as far as generations are concerned. That still leaves out the problem that actually we've got much more of a connection to the places that we've been from. Well, how's the video over 4 hours, Riveroon asks, and I think that's probably because Ethan Klein spends 3.5 hours trying to disagree on the definition of Zionism. That's going to be my bet.
That's it.
Okay. All right. So, I believe that Zionism is a religious ethno-supremacist ideology that...
I mean, the religious part isn't really quite right. Zionism is not primarily... There is religious Zionism. That exists. In fact, the original Zionism was a religiously inspired Protestant Zionism. Reactionary Jews adopted Zionism much after that. But primarily it is actually based in... Its lineage traces from German Romantic nationalism. It's all about blood and soil, very explicitly, until, more or less, until those things became cringe to be associated with.
That revolves around the exterminationist policies of removing the indigenous population that lived in, as you said, historic Palestine.
To answer your question, Riveroon, I was just skimming through it, and it looks like it's them going at it for the entire time, for the entire 4.5 hours. Jesus.
As long as they are not Jews, because it's a ethno-religious supremacist ideology. I think that this is a disagreement that you and I have.
No, I agree with
you. I mean, the thing is, it's like, to even call it a disagreement is giving it way too much credit, because the thing is, what Hasan said is way closer to how Zionism defines itself than what Ethan is saying.
I agree with you. If you want to add that, like the genesis of Zionism included, the displacement and the ravaging of the culture that existed there, then I would agree with you. I mean, I don't think that the establishment of Israel was like a good thing. I mean, it was a tragic and a lot of...
Okay, this already feels like he's walking back a bit, because I've never... he's talked about the Nakba when he's been, confronted with it a couple of times, and he's never really acknowledged this much. I find that interesting. It's like somebody actually decided to have a word with him.
Bad things happen, but let me ask you.
Bad things happen, that's a bit.
How was filming that content, I just have to know what you felt, what you were thinking as they were doing the Fortnite L behind you.
We'll get that.
This is why it takes 4 hours, because he doesn't want to talk about definitions. The content cop is why he's actually decided to do this debate, I think. Because he realized just how many people are like, what the fuck is up with him?
No. We're here. I don't want to talk about definitions. You got your Zionism. Let's do the...
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was fine.
Did you not...
I've participated in other YouTube videos as well in the past.
No, but that Fortnite L dancing.
Some of them feature sketches. Okay.
I noticed you weren't in the other shots. Why was that?
I think I was being interviewed by.
Oh, really? Who was interviewing
what
you?
was happening. I can't
Really?
remember.
So I see what
I think you
Ethan's
weren't
strategy in this is. He's going to try to avoid actually talking about anything. He doesn't, because there are a couple of things that have become very clear every time he tries to talk about anything to do with Palestine. One is he doesn't know shit about it, and the things he does say suck.
Paris, frankly. You were absent from every other shot. I think you saw him doing that Fortnite dance, and you said, "I gotta get out of this."
No,
and by the way, I'm giving you credit for that.
I mean, Ethan, you're a comedian. You know, you participated in some sketches.
Chad,
you know?
is he? Like, I never would have guessed. I mean, it's like, I would have credited Michael C. Rappaport being a comedian before I credited this jabroni being one.
Not that. I mean,
You're one of your most famous sketches, you in a diaper. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we've done funny things.
Okay, you know what? Let's not debate the merit of our comedy. You're right. I'm very hacky, and so are you.
Okay.
By the way, you believe that the likes were botted on that?
What?
You had said you thought the likes were botted on the content cop. Do you still believe that?
What? The likes were botted on the content cop? I don't know.
The dislikes were botted.
He does not want. This is what he's doing. This is his trade. He does not want to talk about Palestine.
The dislikes are. They said it was brigade spotted, and it was unnatural. The dislikes on the video.
I don't really care about this. I don't know. I mean, I don't.
Well, I'm asking. I don't care.
But I don't know why this is a major
You
point.
did say it.
All right, so. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I know why it's a major point for him. I think that's pretty clear, because he does not like the fact that very clearly lots of people are watching him, including some who actually previously had time for him and are saying either, wow, he's turned out to be an absolute fucking fascist ghoul, or what the fuck is wrong with him? I mean, I think that is where that's coming from, and he's really kind of hoping that there's something going on there other than that. He's realized that he's had, like, his moment of clarity here.
Ask that
No.
Let's get back to some other definitions.
Hold on. Let me finish, and then you can do your definition.
Okay.
Do you think it was?
Definition. I want to hear your definition.
That's fine. I'll answer how you
His
like.
definition of what? I mean, he already said his definition of Zionism.
I don't know if he knows, but I didn't.
Hello, Warwick. Oh, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, so far, I'm seeing how this is, gonna take 4 hours, because every time Hasan wants to talk about, like, Palestine and stuff, Ethan's like, but what about iDubbbz' cop outfit? That wasn't very realistic, was it?
Published the content cop. iDubbbz did.
Yes, I know that, and I addressed him thoroughly.
4.5 hours.
You should have included the context of the CPS call.
What?
What? You don't know what I'm talking about?
Wait. I'm a little confused. You are asking me what my opinion is on
the video.
Content cop.
Correct. That's
about
correct.
The CPS. I don't know. Maybe. Sure. Okay. I mean,
Yes.
I think it was more so about. Like your year-long conquest of deplatforming and also harassing.
Right. Well, 90% of the clips were from that episode entitled "CPS Came to My House" is on. I don't know if you think that's an important detail. I sure do.
Ethan, I think you know my position on this, as I've made it very clear. I think it's completely inappropriate to call CPS.
No. That's obvious. I'm saying you're.
I mean, I don't know that it's obvious. I mean, that would really depend on the fucking context. I mean, if somebody is doing it for just purely malicious, vindictive reasons, yeah, fuck that. But if somebody's doing it because they think that, like, kids are possibly getting hurt or something like that, I mean, I'm not gonna say that is always inappropriate.
Did a total fucking pig job. Alright, go ahead. Ask me a question.
Okay.
Dude,
go ahead.
Listen. We're both content creators online. We both have received an endless wave of harassment. You and I have talked privately about this.
Listen, I don't care. Let's just go on. You
brought this up. You brought it up. Hold on.
I know what you're saying.
Jesus, like, are they gonna ever talk about anything? Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of wishing I brought down, like, I brought down like a drink or
I've been
something.
harassed, the internet is tough, whatever, yada yada. Ask me a question.
No, please, Ethan, please.
Because you're so boring, bro. I just want to have an interesting conversation. Go ahead.
Andrew Tate, please, just hold on and let
Wow,
me
I have, wow, God forbid.
to you. You and I are both content creators. We get an endless wave of harassment, doxing, swatting, all of this stuff, okay? Sometimes by the same people, ironically enough, by the same communities. You and I know.
There's something like, I don't know, strangely apt about the fact that he's turned off the background generator and it's just this green screen.
We've had these conversations in private before we stop doing our podcast. And you know my position on this. I think it's completely unacceptable.
I know you're against CPS. That's not
to you in this regard. I would never in a million years advocate for that.
Okay, ask me a question.
I don't think it's appropriate. And I don't know
Very
why.
good. Ask me a question.
I have anything to do with this.
Because you're not you're misrepresenting what I asked you. I didn't ask you, do you think it's okay that people call it CPS? I asked that the video that you participated in, which was a total fake job that used 90% of its clip from an episode of the podcast,
like,
called CPS.call on me and didn't even include the title of the podcast. Now, do you think that's fair?
I think you should take this up with iDubbbz instead of me.
Okay, sure. Ask me a question.
Yeah,
like, yeah, he doesn't seem to understand the format of the debate.
Didn't make any of the editorial decisions in iDubbbz content hub.
I'm asking what you thought about it, okay? Not if you made it. It's pretty...
Sure.
Pretty obvious. Go ahead and ask me a question.
I'm sure that I'm sure that it would have been all right if he mentioned it. I don't.
This fucking guy.
This is a major point of contention for you. I thought we were going to talk about Israel-Palestine.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too, actually. Warwick, you've seen this. Are they ever going to fucking talk about that? Or is it going to be 4.5 hours of Ethan saying, getting Hasan to condemn iDubbbz? Yes, but do you condemn iDubbbz?
We're talking about whatever we want to talk about. You had said that I have problems with your character. That's what I'm talking about. Go ahead and ask me a question.
But you have...
I mean, like, the problems that I think he's referring to is the part where you fucking referred to him as a fucking terrorist, though.
Problems with my character is...
Hasan, ask me a question. I'm going to move on to the next topic here.
About iDubbbz's editorial decisions in his content cob.
I'm asking about your opinion on it. Go ahead and ask me a question.
Okay. So, do you believe that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza?
Yes.
Okay. I think this may be the first time he has ever actually said yes. He's actually, like, stated that. Well, anywhere that I've seen, he's been seen, like, downplaying that quite a lot. But of course, I guess the question now is, like, because, like, some, like, fucking liberal Zionists could be like, well, now they are, but I don't think that they were for the previous 15 months when they were doing the exact same shit. I would press, I would press on that.
Great. Awesome. So you agree with with numerous human rights organizations, the UN?
I already said yes.
Okay. Great. No, that's important. Thank you.
It is important. It is important, and I feel like it's new, actually, and I find it interesting. Yeah, like, he doesn't even want... It seems like he does not even want to talk about it. He's just, like, agreeing to these things almost just to get back to talking about iDubbbz.
I also agree on this. If you believe that Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza, okay, do you feel like you have used your limited amount of time that you have as a content creator speaking out against Israel doing a genocide on the Palestinian population living in the Gaza?
I mean, this is a good question. This is absolutely... And I will be very interested to hear what he has to say. I mean, because I can't imagine... see, that's the thing. That's why this is actually surprises me that he would just say yes. I mean, unless he's just trying to avoid talking about it, and he figures that is the easiest way. Though but, like, if you genuinely think that, you could not look at what he does, what Ethan does, and say, Yeah, this is somebody using their platform to best effect in a time that, like, our fucking grandkids and nibblings will ask us about what we were doing.
Strip.
Like, I mean, if the only story I could tell about what I was, you know, when my nieces have kids or their kids have kids or whatever, and they ever asked me, so what were you doing during all this? And all I had to tell was what I've seen Ethan doing. I would just, like, fucking dodge the subject and move houses and not give a forwarding address.
Or do you feel like most of your commentary on that issue has overwhelmingly been to rail against people that are doing that? Pro-Palestinian advocates that you feel
I don't know
have been wronged by, myself included.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but if you're pro-Palestine, it doesn't absolve you of criticism. That's something that you guys.
Oh, okay. So he's just avoiding the question. Like, who would ever think that being pro-Palestine absolves you of criticism? Like, when has that ever been a safe position to hold? I mean, like, pre-67, there was some room for it in the U.S., but not in my life has that ever really been a safe position where you could be sure that you weren't going to be criticized or just outright smeared and harassed. Like, that is such a wild thing to say.
My coverage.
I don't think that's the case.
Okay. Do you think my coverage has been like totally balanced? I would say no.
Wow. That's big of you to admit. It's not totally balanced. Maybe just a little bit off kilter.
I've obviously given less time to the Palestinian perspective, and I think the reason for that is simply that.
Not just the Palestinian perspective, Ethan.
To the nature of what's fucking going on. And if you say okay, because the thing is, this is why I would have wanted to know, like, is that a conclusion you've come to just recently based on what's going on right now? Or have you felt that way all along ever since the first announcements that they were going to exterminate the population of Gaza? Because it's really not clear to me. Because if he's saying that he maybe did not, like, get the Palestinian perspective across, it's like, if you were thinking all along that they're being genocided and you're going to talk about that subject, how the fuck are you not going to be foregrounding their perspectives on it and what they're going through?
I think that rather than talking about that issue in and of itself, rather than talking about the genocide itself, every time you have talked about Israel-Palestine, it almost always revolved around.
I was going to tell you why. Do you want to let me answer?
Vendettas that you have experienced from pro.
I was going to explain that. Okay. Would you like me to? You asked me a question.
Oh God, I'd love to hear him try to explain that.
Is that I feel like I'm responding to a lot of bullshit that's been passed my way ever since leftovers ended, starting from you and your community. Now, that's my answer to that. Now, let me ask you about
like,
this.
what bullshit? Like, responding to what exactly? What exactly were you responding to that was more important than the fucking genocide that you now acknowledge is going on? Like, seriously. This is a fucking car crash.
Has a Nazi swastika hilt?
Okay.
Do you disagree? What's funny about that?
I think it's funny because you've made this a major point of contention. That's why I think it's funny.
It's a swastika.
Actually, it's going the other. Actually, for one thing, it isn't, and for another thing, it is counterclockwise. A Nazi swastika is clockwise. So no, that isn't a Nazi swastika hilt. If you squint at it right, it kind of can look like one. I will say that much. But no, that isn't a swastika.
It's a sword that is a bleach sword, as you know already, that has a hilt that has a Japanese manji sign on it. But yes, it does look like a swastika.
Yeah, I mean, like. Yeah, he's quite right there to mention Japan, because if you go get a Japanese map of Japan, you will see counterclockwise swastikas all over the thing. Yeah, manji. Man as in this... Man? is 10,000, and Ji here is the character. Manji is the character for 10,000. And the character for 10,000 is an abstraction of a counterclockwise Buddhist swastika, which means 10,000 gods. And if you look at, if you get Japanese maps of Japan, you will see those all over the place because they indicate temples.
Noticed and have talked about on numerous occasions that you've brought forward on your podcast.
Yeah, of course you're conceding that because we fished this up, but yeah.
Such as when I made fun of, I believe it was Alexa that grabbed it, and I said, "Oh, you immediately go over the swastika one." Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, my point is, Hasan, if I can continue, my point is that you...
I mean, what point? There's been no sign of one.
You knew it was a swastika sword. So why, what is the... So, I mean, why did you...
Because it's not the fucking same thing.
Sword?
Ethan?
Answer that. Why was the choice made for this sword?
I'm going to gently explain this to you again. One, it's not a swastika, but regardless...
Do you think it looks like a swastika?
Lots of things look like it if you squint enough. Like, if you put, several squares next to each other in the right order, it looks like a blurry swastika. Lots of things do.
Did not make this editorial decision. I wasn't even...
Do you think it's reasonable to perceive that as a swastika?
Not if you look at it closely.
Answer the question. Is it reasonable to perceive that?
I think it was a deliberate decision that...
okay, well,
I don't know his...
Okay, well, Hasan, they're your swords, and according to the New York Times article, there was 10 options. So what's the chances that they...
Look, there's a fucking New York Times article about his swords. This is what the New York Times has time for. Fucking hell.
The swastika one, that seems pretty slim.
Well, considering...
You have 10 swords, don't you?
The week prior to that, I believe... I don't know the exact timeline. I don't really remember when they shot this, but I had the sword out because I was doing an Assassin's Creed promo. Do you feel like if I thought it was genuinely a swastika sword, I would use it in an Assassin's Creed promo shot?
Yes. That's what we call dog whistle, Hasan.
Oh, shut the fuck! Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what this is. This is some sort of long game dog whistle.
What you're doing is gaslighting somebody. You made a video. Let me make a point here, Hasan, because you're
I mean,
king of microaggressions and understanding.
The king of microaggressions. Shut the fuck up.
Right? So you made a video, you participated in a video accusing a Jewish... Let me finish my point, Hasan. No. Stop. You are making a video accusing a Jewish man of exaggerating anti-Semitism while exhibiting the most hateful symbol against Jewish people. Do you not see this as a problem? Or at least...
I mean, that's literally not... none of those things is true, though. Literally none of those things...
Deep breath.
Okay. Doesn't Ethan have a 20-minute long N-word compilation?
You should try listening instead of speaking.
I'm just looking for clarification here. Do you think that I deliberately was using a dog whistle in an Assassin's Creed promo, or that it was a cool sword that was laying around because it's the only long sword that I have?
You have 10 swords.
That is such a wild... It's the only longsword that I have. What? How many tantos do you have? It's the only longsword that I have. Yeah, he's clearly trying to... He wants to clip that shit. He wants to just clip that and not actually include the bit that came before.
I know, they're heavy. That's not a real sword.
Yes, I'm aware that it's not a real sword, but you had 10 to choose from. What does it matter how much they weigh?
The other ones are heavy.
Let me paint a scenario. Hassan, let me paint a scenario for you, okay? Listen, okay? This is important. You participated in a video accusing a Jewish man of exaggerating anti-Semitism.
I mean, you... Not just exaggerate, let's be honest. I mean, you've been fabricating it. You've been just wildly accusing anybody of it.
You exhibited in that video the most hateful symbol against Jewish people.
Except, no. That didn't happen.
of 10 of your swords that you have previously already stated you know is the, quote, swastika sword. So am I insane for even... You're treating me like I'm insane for...
I mean, I don't know that you call it that. I think he's full of shit, actually.
Bringing this up, but it sounds pretty reasonable.
No, it sounds like you're full of shit, actually.
Little insane, yes.
So yeah, microaggressions just don't exist for Jewish people.
Asking me.
Oh, this is a fucking microaggression now. Like,
why iDubbbz?
It's your sword, bro. I don't believe that you weren't there. You were there, bro. It's in your fucking house.
I don't know. I don't know why you're asking me why.
Because it's your house and your sword.
But I also gave you what my speculation is. And that is that it's most
just a cosmic chance.
I had it laying around because I had just done an Assassin's Creed promo.
Okay, if you say so. So if it's a cosmic fluke, which you claim, then why leave the photo
I'm
up?
not even in the photo, I don't think, right?
I know, it's in your room, though, and with your sword. Why leave...
so what? This is, well, I mean, this is just wild to me. Because, okay, now he has actually acknowledged that that it's a genocide. He claims that he believes it. He hasn't said whether he believes that all along or whether that's a conclusion he recently came to. And still, he's just trying to come up with this fucking slop. Secret super... I mean, they already showed the fucking sword. You would actually need to do some serious effort to make a swastika out of that. It does not look like a fucking swastika.
the photo up if it's a cosmic fluke.
Wait, why are you asking me this question? I don't know. I'm not, Ethan.
I'm sorry, Hasan. Are you unable to make value judgments on...
Motherfucker, what do you think? You're cross-examining him here?
On situations? Like, isn't that what you do for a living? Do you think that iDubbbz should have removed...
It's relevant or that big of a deal at all. If that...
Yeah, I mean, it isn't relevant and it isn't that. And look at Ethan, look at that little grin. Like, he's just glad he changed the subject. Because he knows he can clip that shit and make it look like he actually made some kind of a point.
That's what you're trying to get out of me. Like, yeah, I think it's not...
Okay, so you're telling a Jewish man who's complaining about a very odd coincidence that I'm... that I'm crazy and I'm exaggerating.
Ethan, can we... Okay, you got me, all right? I don't know what to tell you. Listen
oh, you got me. I put a swastika in the video calling you out for exaggerating anti-Semitism.
I mean, also the video did not actually spend much time... I mean, there was like one line in there that I saw where it was pointing out that, yeah, it's ridiculous for him to be making false accusations of anti-Semitism. God, this is so dishonest.
Yes, you did. You literally did.
I didn't do that.
Okay,
again,
laugh about it.
It's
Go
not
on.
a swastika, and I don't even
then
think
why should
you
leave
have
it up?
that much of an issue with swastikas, considering you drew one on
here we go.
PewDiePie.
I'm a Jewish man, you moron.
Oh, I didn't realize the Nazis
is anyone in that room Jewish?
Is that
like, Nazis fucking...
Did I draw swastika one time on...
Do you think that Jews have an exclusive...
Yeah, I mean, and it's worth noting, actually, the Nazi serial killers in the NSU network in Germany, that was, like, almost exclusively Turkish men that they murdered. Like, the idea that, like, somebody of Turkish descent is going to, like, have absolutely no reason to be a bit nervous about Nazis is a bit of a stretch.
An exclusivity agreement with, like, being offended or not offended by Nazi imagery. You've done a Sig Heil approximately, what, 50 times?
Why did I do a Sig Heil? Why did I do a Sig Heil?
I don't...
He goes to all that trouble to get that clip, and then he says, and then he gives just gifts that.
I don't know.
Because you only watch clips on Twitter. I was making fun of Elon Musk and trying to see if it was valid or not.
Trying to see if it was valid or not.
And by the way, as a Jewish man, are you going to tell black people not to use the N-word?
Wait, what?
Oh, shut the fuck up. That's not the same.
Black people not to use the N-word because it offends you.
That is not the same thing. Like, seriously. let me just say, Jewish woman here, the Jews, like, reclaiming Nazi symbols, that's not a thing. Yeah, I mean, chat, you know this, right? That is not a thing? That he's, like, acting like this is, like, reclaiming the N-word or some shit? Not a thing! Never, that is literally just not a thing. He is just making this shit up.
Do you think this is an apt comparison?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Ethan, let's show us all the fucking examples of Jews reclaiming Nazi symbols then, please. I mean, outside of the IDF, of course.
Draw this one. Your anti-Semitism radar is completely out of whack. You
And
understand
who are
that,
you
right?
to say that
That's
to
the
me?
point
You
of
pose with the
contention here.
swastika.
You're saying
No, that's... well, I mean, he's just fucking lying. I'm gonna skip ahead. I'm gonna skip ahead. We're at minute 39:40 now. Let's just see where we end up, because there's a lot of this shit, and I feel like that is getting repetitious, and let's see what else happens.
I sure am, buddy. I see you laughing. All right, anyway, so you accused me of misrepresenting what happened. Let's play the clip.
Right, $800 billion of Medicare and Medicaid that they want to cut. Mike Johnson goes on stage, says, goes on Caitlin Collins on CNN and says, oh, there's a lot of fraud happening. There's not fraud happening in Medicare and Medicaid on the point of the recipient.
Right.
It's happening on the point of the providers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and okay, this is talking about Rick Scott, who was convicted of the biggest Medicare fraud in the history of the program. And who the Republicans then decided, well, who better to put in charge of, like, their fucking so-called Medicare reform and stuff.
That's why I got banned recently on Twitch yesterday. Because
Sorry about that one day.
Yeah,
You just got back.
Yeah, Libs at TikTok was like posting about how I said
what
something.
is this?
And they misconstrued it as though it was a call to action.
What's with this really, really big jacket? That looks like the jacket Marty McFly wears in Back to the Future 2. Except that one actually sort of resizes itself when you put it on. Like, what is he gonna, like, go to Costco and steal a turkey after this?
Wait, why are you showing me this? Senator.
Well, you're saying I didn't bring this up, or I'm saying that Theo didn't bring this up. He didn't. You brought it up, framed it in your own way to basically preempt a tough question. Yeah.
Ethan, I said on the Instagram story that you posted about me, Dan, can you switch it back to Ethan?
Don't switch it back, Dan. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I'm switching it back. 1 second.
All right, thanks, Dan.
I know,
this looks ridiculous on my end.
It sure does,
sorry.
buddy.
Okay. So yeah, this was. If you want,
And
you
it's
can
not
also
just
pull
'cause
up
of the
post
video.
as well. But the post I was referring to was make sure Theo knows how you feel about hosting a terrorist-adjacent content creator, and I believe there was another.
A terrorist-adjacent content, like that. That term just needs to lose all of its fucking sting. I mean, at this point, it really should have, because, like, the U.S. just uses it, describes anything of that. Like, it describes anything they don't like as terrorists. Like, Cuba, depending on who's in office, I mean, actually, I think for the past couple of administrations now, is on a list of states supporting terrorism. There's no evidence of them ever doing that. They've been targets for terrorism that is based in fucking Miami. Yeah, but I mean, and same thing with, like, Ansar Allah in Yemen. How exactly are they a terrorist group? I mean, they overthrew a government that was backed and bankrolled by the U.S. and defended themselves against an onslaught from Saudi Arabia and the U.S. Oh, speaking of Luigi, did you hear the guy they arrested for nicking Kristi Noem's fucking purse and $3,000 in cash and all sorts of dodgy things? He's a Chilean by the name of Mario Bustamante, which means Luigi has found his Mario.
There was another post about it or something, but again,
I said he was irresponsible to platform you and not ask you difficult questions.
So the question I have for you once again is like he had
like, I mean, and the thing is, I mean, he talks about all this fucking CPS stuff. I hope Hasan asked him about trying to get his fucking audience to call the FBI on Noah Samson. And actually, like, making all these sort of, like, terrorism accusations towards a content creator of Turkish descent, in like, especially right now, that is like, stick out, you know, that is swatting. That is, like, basically inviting some fucking asshole to go and do something about it, or swat him, or call the feds, or, you know, all sorts of things. So he doesn't get to talk about, I mean, the CPS thing. I don't really give a fuck one way or the other about that. What he's, like, the way he keeps on finding ways to associate Hasan with the T word is 100 times more dangerous. What he did to Noah Samson, way more dangerous.
Oh, like, do you feel like that's a little bit more damaging in terms of spreading potentially anti-Semitic narratives? Or do you think that anti-Semitism is when you feel bad personally, and that could be any number of different things that I've done in any given moment?
Yes, I think you were just as bad as her in your own special way, and that's why. And you guys were hitting that same flavor
on anti-Semitism in my own special way.
Yes.
What the fuck? Like, based on what exactly? Because normally what somebody, like, would in Ethan's position want to do is go, well, it's anti-Semitic to say that Israel's committing a genocide just because it's true. But he's already conceded that fucking point.
Okay, got it. All right,
Very
cool.
good. Very good. So let me ask you a question. Hasan, can I ask you a question?
Officially not talk about, like, Frogan or anyone else and tell me why I'm anti-Semitic? Because yesterday,
we're kind
2
of
days ago,
getting
you said
there.
I wasn't, but also for a year...
You're repeating yourself.
Yeah, my understanding... I'm not even talking about the threatened lawsuit. And yeah, if his lawyer values his professional reputation, there will not be a lawsuit, because he would not win it. Ethan is, like, 10 times the public figure that Noah Samson is. And Noah Samson has tons of Sullivan protection for what he did, for what he said. In addition to the fact that what he said is, at the very least, fair comment, and is arguably just an accurate statement of fact. I don't think he is going to sue, actually. But I'm not talking about that. What he did with Noah Samson, we looked at it on stream. I don't think you were there for that one. But he actually claimed that Noah Samson was trying to have him killed, was making death threats, and told his audience to call the FBI on him and tell them that. That's what I'm talking about. He actually said this live to his still considerable audience. I mean, that shit'll get somebody killed.
Well, I am, because you haven't answered this question.
I have literally answered it probably 2 times. The reason that I'm saying you're anti-Semitic is because how you responded to my question at the beginning of this interview.
Seriously, what he said? Okay, I mean, it is even more wild when you know what he was basing this on. Because Noah Samson had a bit which he cut out because he got brigaded over it, saying that we in the Palestinian Solidarity Movement in the West have not done enough. What we've done has failed to stop the genocide, and we need to, step it up a notch. And he said, that the people, the main perpetrators and the propagandists and everyone are right in the same country with us, and we need to be finding ways to go beyond just symbolic protest. And fucking Ethan read from that. Yeah, at least he told his audience that what that actually meant was that you should go sort out Ethan. That is what Ethan told his audience that meant. And then he said that his audience should call the FBI on fucking Noah Samson and tell them that he said that. Like, I mean, it was wild because he actually, it was a Chris Rufo kind of moment. Like when Chris Rufo it started the groomer libel at the same time as admitting that he knew it was obviously a lie on Twitter. It was same kind of energy. It was wild. Like, I don't even want to hear about that CPS bullshit after that. I mean, and I hope that Hasan brings that up.
For an entire year, you called me a virulent anti-Semite, a rabid anti-Semite. You
never did.
You did. You went back
did
and forth
not.
on it.
I have
Even
actually
Dan
went back
you
and
on it.
checked. I had said that you spread anti-Semitism and stuff, but I never called you an anti-Semitic. I went back and checked. You're lying.
Spreading anti-Semitism.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difference.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
It is about Habibi, not Sabr. You're conceding to the framing? Yeah, we're not conceding to anything. I don't want to even talk about the tier list anymore. Stop it. Okay.
Okay, let me ask you, my turn. Do you think it's appropriate to accuse? Do you think it's appropriate to accuse any Jewish person you disagree with of working with the ADL?
What? I mean, just any. Well, that is such a ridiculous. Okay, chat. Maybe I missed. Did he actually suggest that Ethan is working with the ADL? I like how I like the implicit framing from Ethan that suggests that he acknowledges that it would be absolutely unseemly to be associated with the ADL, which obviously it is. Yeah, Noah was totally obvious. And I mean, Ethan tried to use the fact that he ended up cutting it after getting brigaded and mass reported over that bit. He cut it out of the video as proof that it obviously meant the thing that Ethan wanted it to mean. Yeah, I mean, I saw that part after it was removed because Ethan showed it in this video that I'm talking about right now, and I mean, it is just wild. It is obvious what he meant.
No, I don't.
Here, for example, is someone using it anti-Semitically.
Ethan Klein and ADL in unison got.
Hasan, let me finish. You're getting ahead of yourself, buddy.
I do think that that's a.
You're getting ahead of yourself, man.
That's a valid thing to not only speculate, but also I stand on that for sure.
Hasan, I'm getting there. You're getting ahead of yourself, buddy. Here's an example of it being used.
I like how Ethan thinks that he's got some kind of high ground to be doing this from.
This is an anti-Semitic way. I'm sure you'll agree. Timeline on that doesn't make a lot of sense.
What is this?
This is your fan who ran up on me on Rodeo.
He isn't his fan, though. I mean, we established that. He actually hates Hasan, and that I don't think that's actually the same guy. The guy that Ethan put in the content puke, I don't think that is the same guy. But in any case, the guy that he put in there and claimed was a big fan of Hasan's actually hates him.
Is this guy my fan?
Yeah.
You
remember?
Is this the guy?
Wait, you remember?
No. This is the guy that you claimed was my fan, right? He was calling me the F slur.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love this dude.
Yeah, he did that in order to get his channel name broadcast to all of Hasan's viewers, which he immediately did in the same breath as saying how much he loved Hasan. But then if you actually go to his fucking page, it's all slagging off Hasan.
No. Hold on. You brought this dude up.
It doesn't matter.
And I believe
I'm showing him as an example of you.
It does matter. It does matter.
Okay, fine. He's not a fan. I don't care.
You brought him up.
Listen.
You don't care. You made a huge point of attributing his behavior to Hasan based on the idea that he was a Hasan fan.
What do you mean you don't care?
If I brought him up, Hasan, let me finish my point.
Why did you make it seem like that person was a fan of mine then?
No, yeah, good point. Like, I mean, that was kind of one of those lies.
Let me get to there, okay? You asked me. It's my turn to ask a question. Just because I brought him up doesn't give you the space to interject.
Oh, I mean, you were lying, though. That's the point. That's what gives him the space to interject. Like, the whole point was, the whole reason, just in case anyone did not see or doesn't remember exactly what the context here is, Ethan got harassed by this guy. Ethan tried to blame that on Hasan by claiming this guy was a fan of Hasan's. He is not a fan of Hasan's. Like, the only reason, the tenuous association by which he was blaming this shit on Hasan was based on the claim that this guy was a fan of Hasan, and he went to certain significant lengths to falsely claim that he was. If he isn't actually a fan of Hasan's, if he actually hates Hasan, then there's really no way you can blame Hasan for the fact that he, harassed Ethan.
Up to me and try
Let
to
me
fucking
finish.
farm? Is that why?
Yes.
Anthony
Okay,
Campus
thank
was
you very
very
much.
clearly disturbed by his presence? Is that
Hassan,
why?
I think you know where I'm going, and I think you're scared.
Why would he be scared? You're going someplace that is actually only embarrassing to you.
Can you answer the question? Why did you falsely claim that...
Yeah, somebody in his chat goes, what happened to Israel-Palestine? Who gives a fuck about this?
This fuck...
Because he's on video saying he loves you, that you're his favorite person in the world. What do you mean?
Wait.
All right, Hassan, here you go, buddy.
Much more dignity than you have, as a matter of fact.
Well, yeah, because
Surprisingly
they're not on the
enough,
receiving end. I ever mentioned the ADL in my entire career. I'm laughing in your face, idiot. And I did that shit. I'll take credit for it. I did that shit. I know what they were. I was just for if you had the thing. It was even. Did I ever?
It's a clip where you are saying, I did that shit. I'll take credit for it. You know who did that? The ADL did. You are taking credit for something that the ADL did. I'm not even making that inference. You're saying,
Well, they attacked
which
me.
one do you think? What do you think the average person would think
you
in
sound
this
so
situation
silly, bro.
when you are saying that you did that shit? And it's the ADL's pressure that caused these people to be banned for such a...
Yeah, I mean, again, that Ethan really just... Ethan, I think, made a mistake coming here.
I was being silly. I don't care.
Not a
Listen.
systematic thing at all.
I was being silly. They attacked me. I responded. Do I know who? Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Well, all right. I guess we can move on then.
Well, do I think I got them banned? I don't know. Who knows? You know.
Yeah,
I think that
you got a Jewish content creator alongside multiple Arab content creators banned off the platform for 30 days because you
There's a reason they call him token, my friend. You spend time being a token, you're gonna get spent.
What Jewish content creator is he talking about?
Right.
You want to cash in on your Jewish friends anymore, or can we move on?
Am I what?
Would you like to cash in on your Jewish friends more, or can we move on?
Cash in on my Jewish friends.
That's right. Do you know any Jewish people that aren't anti-Zionist?
Yes.
Who?
Why is that? Who cares?
I don't want to. They're normies. I don't want to.
Like, who gives a shit? Yeah, there are, like, why do you have to, what exactly is the point here? The idea is that it's not enough to have Jewish friends who actually are anti-racist. You have to have racist Jewish friends too? Like, who gives a fuck?
Okay, yeah, you're lying.
No, I'm not.
You're surrounded.
I'm not lying.
Yes, you are. You're absolutely lying.
Dog, I live in West Hollywood. You think I'm not around Zionist Jews? What are you talking about?
Yeah, do you pass Jews on the street? Yes. Are you friends with them?
No, I'm friends. Yes.
Why would I wouldn't be? Like, who gives a shit? Like, that's like asking if somebody's friends with a fucking white supremacist. Because Zionism is a white supremacist ideology. Like, yeah, no. I mean, especially after after, like, these past 18 months, I would actually not blame somebody for, like, cutting any Zionists out of their lives that they had, because... Like, either somebody completely realizes that they have been on the absolute, they've had the wrong end the whole time, and rejects the ideology that is justifying that fucking atrocity that is going on every single day before our eyes in Gaza, or there's something deeply wrong with that person. Like, I don't see why this is a getcha. Why? Oh, you say you have lots of anti-racist friends, but have you got any really racist ones? Who gives a fuck? Like,
I don't
They
believe.
treated me with much more dignity than you have, as a matter of fact.
Well, yeah, because they're not on the receiving end of an insane fucking harassment campaign. Why would they? Why wouldn't they?
Seemingly.
All right, so you think that? Just to recap, just to recap here, so we can move on. I mean, did the random Zionist Jews that are treated you so kindly, did they have CPS show up to their house or schools sent to their house?
Ethan, I didn't do that.
Ethan.
I didn't say you did that.
I don't.
Yeah, well, you kind of implied it pretty strongly there.
I don't know why you're bringing that up. But
I know you
that has
don't, but
nothing
you're
to do with
acting
me.
up.
I'm not in
Part of your
support of
shit,
that.
Hasan is acting up too, so you're caught in a corner.
All right. You
He's not caught in a corner, though. This isn't a corner. Like, the best argument you've got is you don't have enough racist Jewish friends. Like, yeah, guilty, I guess?
Conversation so far. I think we should get back to some stuff that.
I agree. Let's just summarize.
No. Look, can we just get back to Israel?
This is quick. It's very quick.
You see the
I just want to put a cap on this. Just a cap.
You're doing the thing that I'm so critical of you on. Okay.
Partnering with like the
Yeah, I mean, he just said it right there, Hasan did.
Put a cap on this and we'll move on.
I mean, that all he's doing is trying to avoid the actual subject. That, you know, now he acknowledges it's a genocide, and he doesn't want to talk about it in favor of just this fucking slop. Like, who gives a fuck if he has Zionist friends? Like, you think it's unusual that people tend to have friends who share their values? I mean, that's kind of a normal thing for friends to have in common. Usually, like, if I'm sitting here looking at what the US and Israel are doing in Gaza and am absolutely aghast and traumatized, and somebody sitting next to me is watching the same thing and is fucking laughing, that person's no fucking friend of mine. I don't even know what fucking planet they're from. That, you know, I have absolutely no basis for an understanding with such a person, because very clearly we come from different moral universes. That is not really a basis for a friendship.
You said I am, quote, partnered with the ADL, which you now claim was just you didn't mean that I was working with them.
Well, no, what he said was that you said you were working with them. Like, this is interesting what he keeps on doing. He did this move with the sword bullshit earlier, but it's like he trots something out, it immediately gets knocked back because it's bullshit. He changes the subject for a while, and then he comes back to it and acts like it's just been proved, that he was just proved right or something.
You mean that we had the same goal? Okay, very good. We'll see how that plays. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay.
You okay?
Because you're currently doing the thing that I'm criticizing.
Okay, I've been wondering about that dog. That dog was so completely motionless in Hasan's background. I was like, is that like a really lifelike plushie or something like that? But the dog just got up, so that answers that question. Impressive dog.
You on where you are looking at a situation that you recognize is a genocide, and your only consideration and your only concern
It's not my concern. I care about multiple things, my friend.
Yes.
Well, yeah, it's just that it's kind of clear that you care about some of them much more than you care about what you acknowledge as a fucking genocide, dude.
You can, but these are really stupid things to care about, Ethan.
I think that's easy for you to say.
Wait, that's easy for you to say. Wait. Like, yeah, that's easy for anyone with, like, any kind of fucking moral compass to say.
You're the one being accused of it. Let's ask the accused how serious their crime is. Brilliant. O.J. Simpson, do you think that this is a serious court case? Nope. Well, I don't.
What does he mean he's the one being accused of it? Who's accusing Hasan of genocide?
And killing someone.
No, obviously not.
Then why are you bringing up stupid
because you are saying that the accused, right, can dictate how serious the accusations are.
What the fuck? When did anyone ever say that? Like, what the fuck even is this? Warwick, I don't think that fucking migraine medication is enough. I don't think that migraine, this is like... This is like a fucking stiff belt of fucking scotch.
Okay.
Like, just, I mean, or something in order to make it easier to deal with the whiplash that I get from this completely incoherent fucking slop that is being served up by Mr. fucking green screen over here. Like fucking distorted Yahweh Sinwar looking motherfucker. I have to say, Sinwar wore it better.
All right.
I partnered with the ADL. Remember what you said.
Talked about your pro-Palestinian bona fides. You have...
Yeah, which were just so fucking thin.
Talked
What
about
do you mean
how
bona fides?
my fundraiser... What?
I'm sorry, what do you mean by bona fides?
Like, that you claim that you are a stalwart ally of the Palestinian cause. You
Correct.
tried to also say this to Sam Cedar as well. You brought forward...
Oh, that's right, he did. And now, I'm thinking, right after this bit, we might switch over. River Rune did send this, a link to the Sam Cedar thing, too, and maybe see it. What do you think, River Rune? I'm guessing you saw that. Which do you think is better for, like, I guess it's the last 25 minutes of this stream? Yeah, I mean, we're getting... Ethan is not doing himself any fucking favors here. I don't know who told him that this was a good idea.
The fact that you had given $6,500 in your context puke that you did as a further indication that you are pro-Palestinian, even though you then turned around and actually criticized additional fundraisers that had taken place, like the Creators for Palestine charity that generated $1.3 million.
Well, that generated too much money, I guess.
Including the fundraiser that you initially had given $6,500 to as a reason for why you were such a staunch ally. Why did you turn around and say that pro-Palestinian fundraisers are actually completely irrelevant in the grand scheme of things and completely useless? Do you think that pro-Palestinian charity...
Wait, okay, so they're completely... So, I mean... More importantly, if he's saying, on the one hand, that that's completely useless, and on the other hand, that is his main claim to being a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause, that doesn't say... that means he doesn't think highly of his own fucking claim.
Are simply there to make yourself feel like you're pro-Palestine? Do you feel like $6,500 was enough for you to spend the rest of the year actively deplatforming pro-Palestinian content
People harassing me?
What?
I'll answer your question.
All right.
So I claimed, when talking about... Now, by the way, this is something I criticize you for, which is...
Oh, no, subject change.
Being obtuse, mischaracterizing arguments, and basically just being a prolific liar. So here's what the conversation was about, right? I was talking about how, when you're talking about activism, raising money isn't the most important thing because it can only do so much. There's other ways to do effective activism.
Yeah, okay, and Noah Sampson made that exact point. And you told people to call the feds on him for it.
Like protesting, et cetera, working with Palestinian organizations. So I'm just saying,
I mean,
my point.
Raising funds for Palestinian organizations kind of is not just working with them, but helping them operate in the first place, though. So his issue is that the fundraisers don't go far enough?
It was not that. Hold the phone, let me finish.
And I've done all of those things.
My point was that, not that raising money is bad or dumb or pointless, as you erroneously claim I said. My point was that it's not the most effective thing in the world, and there's other things. It's probably like the least effective form of...
Well, I mean, least effective, really? Because, I mean, is it less effective in helping Palestinians than, say, Ethan's amazing strategy of slagging off people who are like some of the most visible supporters of Palestinian rights on Twitch.
Of advocacy you can do. That was my opinion.
I don't think it's a. I don't think that's.
Yeah, but I mean, if you say if you say that though, then you look a little bit weird saying that that's like the proof that you're a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause, when all you did was donate, like, I mean, $6,500 is a lot for most people, but most people also do not have a household staff.
I think that the Palestinians that received
That's not the case. What I said or what I claim.
What country are you from?
Claim is wrong.
Somehow I had you from being from the U.S. Was I wrong about that, Warwick?
In
Okay, that's
terms
fine.
of the
You can disagree.
fundraisers not being important.
That's fine.
I'm always curious because languages are also my thing. I have a whole stream that I do language stuff on in the afternoons on Fridays and Saturdays.
So we've established that you claim to be pro-Palestine, and yet you've spent all of the genocide coverage criticizing people,
Attacking
who
people
are
that harass me.
fundraising, creating, working with Palestinian organizations.
I never said it's not
interviewing
important.
Palestinians.
Ah, claro. Sí,
Interviewing
bueno.
Palestinians from Gaza.
Ah, claro, de la República Dominicana. Sí, me acuerdo. El nombre de usuario me tentó una trampita, porque yo al ver Warwick pienso más bien en Inglaterra, en el condado donde se encuentra Birmingham y toda esa weá. Pero bueno, igual en la RD siempre hay por qué protestar, salir a manifestar frente a la embajada de Estados Unidos, po.
Hasan, being an advocate for Palestine does not absolve you of criticism. Stop with the silliness.
No, this does not.
Okay, I'm gonna switch over, and for the rest of this, we're gonna look at the Sam Cedar thing.
My point I'm trying to make here,
that's kind of up.
Because, I mean, that was just so disjointed and thoroughly a pain in the ass. Okay, so this is Chris Kunzler reacting.
Just like, this is the biggest issue of the current era, really, in terms of like, well, tell Sam Cedar why he's not on Twitter. I mean, I know that this isn't all it is. So I watched basically the end of it last night, but yeah. I mean, also, on the topic of me being live, I just haven't been since I've done more YouTube, but I've been, I used to go live on TikTok all the time, and then there was a brief period where I was live on,
I'm gonna skip ahead because I want to actually see what
Israel, which is, you know, kind of surprising when you run the university's Israel advocacy group. But the second point was just that, the more we talked, even though she purported to be a liberal Zionist, you can't defend Israel without actually, like, avowing what you believe, you know. I don't know Ivor Dembina. I've not heard of them. No.
He was disagreeing with me, and I mean, this is available by polls, readily available by Pew Research. I think what the poll attempts to, basically, if you ask Hasan or a lot of people in
these days.
Sure, I guess.
But Hebrew. I would say 1/3 Holocaust, and I say
so.
Regardless, I mean, I think if I don't know your upbringing at all, but I mean, certainly my upbringing, my Hebrew education was, I would say, 1/3 Holocaust, and you know, I'm older, and so.
I mean, I would imagine it was also at least 1/3 puns on the fact that his surname is the name of the special dinner that you have for Passover. Because that was when I first heard of this guy, my immediate thought was, is that pronounced Seder? Like the fucking Passover dinner? And it isn't.
Key point was that, the other key point was that God, yeah. I mean, this is yeah. The other key point is as well is I was just like kind of, I don't know. I do regret this in many ways, and I think that this
I'm
is
skipping
a bit of a
ahead because I
foolish
want to
post
see
have
some of
made,
this debate and
because I
see.
knew exactly what much bigger terrorist. All right, sorry, I'm just sorry. I probably should have set up an admin, but I don't know anyone here because obviously when I'm live on Twitch, I've like set up with people. Yeah, I've been happily raiding someone's homes. It's a really aggressive thing to go into someone's homes. And I mean, I have friends who grew up there, and like talking to them about just, and in fact, just thinking about your own personal life. There is so much of Palestine which we look at and we draw as like an example of like, oh my God, look at how bad things are. And I think the truth is that none of us will ever be able to understand fully one of those videos of, you know, just people being blown to pieces. We don't understand them. That is not our trauma. They are horrifying.
I mean, it's like. I would say it is a lot of people's trauma, and in different ways. Seeing that actually and no understanding what's going on is itself traumatic. Like, from a just straight up psychological standpoint, it is traumatic. In fact, I mean, even doing that shit, psychologically speaking, actually is traumatic. And a lot of, I mean, it's been a fairly regular thing that, IDF goons come back from Gaza and eat their guns, precisely because they can't deal with you know they've got a film running through their head of all the shit they've been doing, and outside of the context in which they were doing, suddenly they realize that this is fucking horrible and I'm going to be living with that for the rest of my life. And it's like, no, no, I'm not going to. So it's like, I think when we say, I think it depends in a way on what we mean by, like, something to say whose trauma it is. In terms of who has the right to decide what to do about it, obviously, it belongs to the Palestinians. They're the ones who need to draw conclusions for how they go forward in the midst of this, and once it's over, and let that come soon, please. Fuck. But in terms of who is traumatized, I mean, that is much less selective. Anyone watching this shit, anyone paying any attention at all, is at least somewhat traumatized.
And we can see them and view them, but that, like looking at one, we don't understand them, even the most horrifying of them. But what you can ultimately understand 100% is the mundane nature of Israeli oppression, of things like not being able to move freely, like wanting to go about your daily life and not being allowed to pass through a checkpoint. It is genuinely insane to think about that. And also, thank you to anyone donating it. Thank you, Sunflower Dragon, and thank you to the person who...
If you've ever had a major FIFA match come to your town, you get a very tiny whiff of what it's like. Like, the UEFA Cup, there was like a quarterfinal played in Cardiff when I was living there. And all of a sudden, you could not go through the city center, which you need to do in order to actually get anywhere in town, without going through, like, multiple layers of bullshit. You know, it is the tiniest whiff of what that must be like, because at the very least, that, you know, those people weren't, like, going to shoot you. Yeah, it was all, the level of disrespect for the locals was off the charts. But when you actually have that sort of thing, that's why I'm saying the tiniest whiff. I'm not saying, please don't understand me just be saying it's equivalent, but you can occasionally get that sense of it when you have one of these things come to your town, and basically people who have absolutely no connection to the town you're living in get to call the shots about who goes where. That is the vaguest, faintest whiff of what that must be like. It is extremely, because, like, you basically, the entire fucking city center was off limits, and there were all sorts of like armed guards and fucking surveillance and bullshit, and it was nowhere near like what the checkpoints in the West Bank on a good day are like. But you can kind of get a sense of the level of disrespect.
Previously donated. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, because
I mean,
there is this underlying
Palestine and the
disrespect
experience of
in addition to its expression.
Palestinians is just so obscenely disgusting. Like, Palestinians live a life that is incomparable to that of Israelis. Like, maybe, there's violence on, there's violence inflicted on Israelis. Of course, there's violence inflicted on Israelis. But I think the truth is that...
To a much smaller extent. I mean, it is actually kind of obscene to talk about the things in the same sentence.
It just doesn't compare to being able to live a nice life in Tel Aviv where you can move freely, whereas Palestinians are not allowed to.
I mean, there are Palestinians living in Tel Aviv, though. In Jaffa. Like, 20% of the population of the people who hold Israeli passports or are entitled to have one are Palestinians. And while they have it definitely better in a number of respects than their cousins just on the other side of the Green Line, they don't have it good either. In fact, I mean, there's a rap band, a rap group called Dam, and they are based in Alid, now, like the Zionists call it Lod. And, you know, they're Palestinians with Israeli citizenship, and their rap songs are largely about how shit that is. And they have more protection legally than literally any other kind of Palestinians out there. Because, at the very least, they have nominal, you know, they are technically citizens, even if, because they're not Jewish, they're not full citizens. But I just noticed the time. It is time for me to start wrapping up. I will be back tomorrow at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and I look forward to seeing you there.